Good morning, friends. Today I am really excited to be filming you for the first time ever, I believe, a decluttering video. I'm gonna go through all of my eye palettes. I actually was inspired because recently I did a video about the Too Faced Natural Love palette on my French channel about how I was really underwhelmed with the quality and just kind of like, and a girl in the comments was like, she said she was against palettes anyways because she's like, nobody ever uses all of the colors. It's a much better value to just buy individual set shadows that you know you're going to use and love and put them together in a big palette than to buy these big palettes where you only use like 3 colors anyways. And I was like, that is a really good point. Now it's saying my battery's dying, that sucks. So hopefully there will be enough battery to film this. I'll try and charge the battery while I'm getting all of the palettes out. But yes, I'm very excited. This is the kind of video where when I used to see them on YouTube, I'd be like, well, that sounds a little stupid, but then now I watch them all the time. Every time somebody that I love puts them out, I'm just like, ooh, I want to see inside your stash. So goals for today is to get rid of any palettes that I don't use more than 80% of the shades in, if that makes sense. We'll see how that goes. All right, so the first palette that is definitely to throw away, I'm not even giving this to a friend because it's kind of getting gross, is this Sephora huge palette. There are like 2 or 3 colors that were good quality and the rest were kind of meh. You've got a bunch of lip colors and stuff, but I used this for a few DIY videos and it's kind of exploded. I used it for Halloween things and all the lip glosses are mixed with powder and it's just not very nice anymore. So that one is going to be chucked. By the way, anything in this video that is still good quality or still like hygienically safe to pass along will be passed along to friends. I'm not just throwing everything away. But if it's gross and it's not safe for public consummation anymore, I will be chucking it. This is the Makeup Revolution I Heart Chocolate palette. It is a dupe for the Too Faced chocolate palette. I do not have the Too Faced chocolate palette, and so sometimes when people do looks from that palette, I like to use this one instead to get the same kind of look. I'm guessing the quality is not as great, but it's still really good quality, especially for the price, and so I will be keeping this one. My favorite eyeshadows in the world, this is my Makeup Revolution palette. These are freaking beautiful. They're all really well pigmented. I picked out all the colors myself, love every single one of them. So this is Comfort Zone by Wet n Wild. I'm having trouble getting it in focus, but I don't use this half of the palette. I only really use this half, and I'm gonna try and get a bit more use out of it. I think if I don't use more of this by the next time I do a declutter video, I'll chuck it, but for right now I'm going to keep it and try and use it a bit more because it's so cheap and it's so good. I really want to get a bit more use out of it and probably put it into a good drugstore find video. This is a beautiful blush palette from Makeup Revolution. This one is Golden Sugar to Rose Gold. I love the colors. They all blend really well. They're all well pigmented, so definitely keeping this one. This is the Becca Jaclyn Hill collaboration palette they did for Christmas a while back. Champagne Pop is falling out, so I need to get some rubbing alcohol in there and fix that, but I'm afraid it's going to change the quality of the shadow, so I haven't done it yet. These 3 colors were all limited edition. They're now permanent. I believe all of them, at least these 2 I know are permanent. All beautiful shadows. I use them all the time. I just need to fix that one that wants to fall out. This is the Makeup Revolution Iconic Pro. It's supposed to be a dupe for the Lorac Pro. And like, I don't know, some of the colors are really pretty, but they all end up looking muddy on the eyes. They end up blending together during the day and not looking as nice. So I think I will pass this on to somebody who's not as nitpicky as I am because I've only used it once or twice. This is pretty much my favorite contouring kit of all time. I really love the contouring color, I love the bronzer, and I love the highlighter over here. It's a matte highlighter and it's just kind of a vanilla-y powder that makes the underneath of your eyes look quite awake. Absolutely beautiful. I use this all the time. However, and this is going to be controversial, the Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kit, this is a light to medium one, was really disappointing. I just don't like the colors quite as much. These 2 are way too red to either be bronzers or contouring on my skin tone. The vanilla powder is nice. This one I guess is nice. They're all fine. The shimmer color is not like a really like out of this world highlight, but it's fine. And then the contouring color is nice, but overall I'm just underwhelmed with it. So I will probably be passing this on to a makeup friend who loves it a bit more and cleaning off the palette first because it's a little messy from being in the drawer. The packaging on this palette is kind of terrible. I mean, it's a beautiful metallic color and everything, but it gets fingerprints on it, gets any bit of dust on it, so you have to keep it really clean. But it's one of my favorite palettes ever, and this is a face palette. It's the Total Face palette from Elff. Oh, I almost said the French name. You get 2 blushes, you get a bronzer, and a highlighter. The highlighter is not quite as blingy as I like, but I think for most normal people, you'll probably like that a lot. I take this with me when I travel all the time because you've also got a huge mirror up here, and it's really good for fair skin tones. If you have even if you're even on the darker end of light, the bronzer might not be dark enough for you, but if you're very pale like I am, This is so good. It blends out beautifully. The colors are well pigmented and buildable. I love it. Next, we have the NYX Strobe of Genius palette. Some days I love this palette. Some days I kind of hate it. It depends on the color. I feel like some of the colors are a little bit, they're not quite soft enough and they emphasize my pores quite a bit more than I'd like, but a few of them are really beautiful. I think, however, there are palettes that I would like to try more, so I'm probably going to pass this on to a friend who is a huge fan of NYX. Next, I'm just going to compare really quickly two palettes that are really similar. I'll be keeping one and getting rid of the other. This is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Palette. You've got warm, neutral, and cool. It's got your basic mattes for pretty much any eye look you want to create. They're absolutely beautiful. I love almost all the colors. I don't really wear cool very often, but when I do want to do a cool eye look, it's nice to have them there. And it's definitely a palette that I get a lot of use out of. So I will be keeping the Kat Von D. Then we have the Naked Ultimate Basics palette, which it's really beautiful quality. I mean, you can't go wrong with this one either, but I feel like maybe these 4, maybe even these 5 shades don't look that different once they're actually integrated into an eye look. If you have darker skin, you definitely won't see the difference between like the slightly different tones for these first 4 shades. And I feel like I get way more use and there's way more color options with the Kat Von D. I like the way the Kat Von D is laid out a bit better. So even though these are beautiful, I love Extra Bitter, I love Pregame, even though I love these colors, I just don't reach for it as much as I do the other one, and so this one I'm going to be giving to a friend. This is the original Naked. I have had it since right before my wedding. I actually got this as my first like high-end eye palette because I wanted it for wedding makeup since they had such beautiful tutorials online. I still think it's really good for beginners just because you have so many tutorials. So if you don't know how to apply eyeshadow or if you want to try a few new looks, I mean, this is something I'll still pull out and use for different tutorials. The colors are beautiful. Some of them are quite used. As you can see, I've really dug into them, but I use everything except for these last 2 colors, so I will be keeping this palette, even though it's getting a bit old. Then we have the Naked 3, which I don't use as often, but it is so beautiful, and I feel like I should be using it more, so I'm taking it out now and officially putting it into my use more pile. Another quick comparison here, I've got 2 eyebrow kits. I don't know if you can see them really well. They're just powders with highlights and gels. I prefer the Bourjois one over the Kiss. I wish the Bourjois packaging was a bit cuter because I feel like it looks really cheap and it looks like it's not going to be very good, but it's actually really beautiful on your eyebrows. And then the Kiss is nice as well, I just don't like it quite as much as this one. So goodbye Kiss and Bourjois staying. And then I have this palette that is brand new and never used from Bourjois for blondes. I will probably either give this to a friend or use it in a giveaway since I definitely don't have blonde hair and I don't plan on using this anytime soon. But the colors don't look reddish at all. They look quite ashy, so that's really good. And I bet somebody else will love it. Skip on over to Makeup Revolution. This is the Makeup Revolution Ultra Eyeshadows is their name for this one. Ultra Professional Eyeshadow Beyond Flawless. This is actually a really nice palette. I did a giveaway with this. I actually do like quite a few of the colors. I just don't reach for it often enough, and I have a friend who these colors would look so much prettier on, so I'm going to pass it on to her. This is the Makeup Revolution Neutrals versus Neutrals eyeshadow palette. I absolutely adore the colors, but I have a really hard time with this one that has the bits of glitter that fall underneath your eyes and you end up getting sparkle everywhere, which I'm not a huge fan of. Even with the base, it does that on me. And a few of the colors end up looking a bit, I don't know, a bit muddy throughout the day. I really just like these red ones here and this one. Or maybe these, the peachy red tones and this one. All of these colors I don't use, so I'd say about 50% of the palette I'm not using, so I'm going to pass this on to somebody else who would use maybe 100%, or at least more than me. Also Makeup Revolution, oh no, I Heart Makeup, they're part of the same family. It's basically the same thing. This is their white chocolate bar, the Naked Chocolate. It's gorgeous. This palette is beautiful. The problem is a lot of these colors end up looking the same on my eyelids. They're not quite varied enough for me to like reach for it every day. I do, however, use the same 4 or 5 colors quite often, but that being said, do I use 80% of this palette? No, probably not. So it is with a heavy heart that I'm going to be passing this along to somebody who would probably get more use out of it. But the shadows are all good quality. I like them all. And then this is my favorite palette from Makeup Revolution. It is, what is it actually? The Chocolate Vice. This isn't a dupe for any of the Too Faced ones. It's just their own palette. I absolutely love probably 80% of the colors in this palette. There's just maybe these 2 that I don't really use, but all of the rest I use, and I love, love, love this palette. It looks beautiful on. You can't tell the difference. It lasts really well with a primer. Very big fan of the colors in here, and they look great on blue and green eyes. Something to keep in mind. This is the Elf Illuminating Palette. All of these kind of are natural highlights. They're supposed to be dupes for Hourglass, but the truth is I don't reach for them every day, even though I think they're quite beautiful on their own and the powders are good quality. It's just I don't use them, so I'm going to give them to somebody who's going to get more use out of them. However, this baby, this is the Elf Blush Palette. This is amazing. I love the quality of these blushes. I was really, really surprised. Something else that's really cool actually is that these little squares, I'm not going to show you now because I don't want to put them back in, but they all pop out and you can interchange them with any of the other square palettes from Elf, which is really nice, especially if you want to make your own kind of like going away kit. This color looks like a bronzer in the image, but it's actually a really beautiful peachy brown blush. And then these three colors, yeah, these three colors are matte. This one's glittery. Really like this. They're all good quality. Keeping this one. Ooh, the Elf Prism eyeshadows. Okay, so these first two colors aren't quite as pigmented as I would like, but the rest of the colors are beautiful. They give that like wet metallic look. Love them. They're very easy to work with. We'll definitely be keeping this. This Elf Rose Gold is a really, really good dupe for the Naked 3, but I don't reach for it ever because I have the Naked 3 and I always pull up the Naked 3 rather than this one, and the colors are slightly less pigmented, so this one I will be passing along. This is the last Elf palette. You've got two colors, I believe. What is this? The Fiji Matte. It's their Fiji Matte palette. They're both beautiful. They both work really well. I just don't reach for them personally. Oh, and my light turned off. That's why it's looking so dark. Hold on, I'm gonna go turn that back on. And this one I'm going to pass along. This is a big bronzer from Sephora that's also kind of like a palette because when you open it up, you've got 3 different colors inside. It bronzes beautifully. I love this color. When I mix this peach color and with the colors around it, it makes a gorgeous blush that goes really well with the bronzer. And I believe it was a limited edition, but I'm keeping it and it's very pretty. This is Tarte's Graveyard Girls Swamp Queen. I am keeping this because I'm using it in a video pretty soon about like YouTube collaborations and products that YouTubers have come out with, and kind of giving a full review in there. Some of these colors, I'll tell you right now, have like big chunks of glitter that I kind of hate, but weirdly they don't stick in the formulas. They don't show up on your skin, which is kind of weird. But other than that, they're very pretty. I just don't like purple eyeshadows on my eyes. I don't know why. So I get more use out of these colors right here, the ones that are a bit more neutral, peachy tones. Otherwise, the blush is beautiful, the highlighter is gorgeous. This Sweet Tea, I really thought it was going to be a nice bronzer. It is not a bronzer at all. It is definitely 100% a blush. It is way too orange to be a bronzer. And all in all, I am very happy with this. But I definitely need to keep it because I will be doing a video on that pretty soon. Ta-da! This is the Tartelette Tease. It's a great travel palette. Very cute shades. Again, these are a little bit too purpley for me. I kind of wish they hadn't been quite so purple. I wish they'd been a bit more browny like I was kind of expecting. But they're still really nice. They're good quality. I have mixed feelings about this, so I'm going to keep it for now, and if I don't use it enough the next time I do a declutter video, I will get rid of it then. Alright, this is the Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells. Really pretty colors, definitely classic. 100% going to keep this one. A very good basic. This is an old limited edition that I was so excited, like I'd saved up the money to buy it for myself. It's the Narcissus palette. And then all of the colors were kind of underwhelming, and I was told that the colors in this palette were kind of not as good as like the real versions or whatever. You've got the bronzer and the highlighter. I use it every once in a while, but it's definitely not my favorite. I'll probably be getting rid of this one, but I might keep it. We'll see. Also, the packaging is terrible. There's a crack in the mirror that I got the first day I brought it home from the mall, which was really disappointing as well. This is one of those sleek 3-in-1 blushing palettes. This is in the lace. These colors are dark and beautiful and definitely would be gorgeous on somebody with darker skin than me. But you know what? I really like them, so I'm keeping this even though it's probably way too dark for my skin tone. It's beautiful. Also from Sleek, this is their contour and highlight palette. This is like my first ever contouring and highlighting palette, and it is still a really good drugstore option. As you can see, I've definitely hit pan on the bronzing side. I don't like the highlighter quite as much, but it's still like pretty good. It gets the job done. And very much in love with this palette. What color is that one? I got it in light. This is not an Urban Decay palette, despite what it looks like on the outside. This was actually an old palette of theirs. I ended up taking out the shadows and putting in some blushes and a bronzer from Make a Peek. Love all of these, we'll be keeping that. This is sort of a self-made palette just from colors and such that I had around. This is the Hula by Benefit and their Daisy blush. I really don't like their Daisy blush, but they're both in mini sizes, and this way I kind of have them, so if I ever want to do like a dupe video or anything like that, I've got the 2 colors. I do use the Hula quite a bit. You can see it's been dug into. And 2 eyeshadows from Kiko. These are from that Urban Decay palette I showed you a minute ago. These are the colors that were originally in there. And then 4 shadows from Benefit that I don't really ever use, so I should probably get rid of those. Then we have this Estee Lauder palette. It's in purple colors, Enchanted Berries, number 14. I mean, it's beautiful. It's got a nice mirror. The colors are very pretty. They're all very nicely pigmented. They last long. Everything's great about it, but I don't ever use it. I've used it like twice since I bought it, which is a major bummer because I thought I would be really into it, but I just don't end up using those colors ever. I'm not much of a purple eyeshadow person. So that will be given away. And then last but not least, this is the Smashbox, what is it, the Shape Matters palette. This palette is missing a blush. You've got great colors for eyeshadows here, whether you're blonde or brunette. You've got a highlighter, you've got a matte highlighter, you've got your bronzer and a contouring shade, you've got beautiful eye colors, but there's no blush. If I had just a blush and just one blush, this would be the perfect travel palette, even though it's pretty heavy, because you'd have absolutely everything in one go. So I'm kind of bummed about that. It's almost the perfect palette. I'm going to keep it just because I love the Smashbox contouring palette so much. I kind of want my backup for whenever that one runs out, the smaller version. An almost perfect palette. Just needed the blush and it would have been good to go, but otherwise very nice. Again, you've got some purple, you've got a big purple here that I don't use, but I do use the browner colors and the shimmery shades. And I just need to clean this palette now that I'm looking at it. I'm like, it's getting a little grubby. All right, hopefully you found this video at least moderately interesting. You can see my messy house behind you. That's what I'm gonna go do next. I'm going to attack the cleaning and organizing a bit here. But I love you very much and I'm excited to see you in the next video. Ciao.